Good evening, everyone. I'll be sitting in for Mayor Kennedy tonight, and it's kind of an interesting experience in my elected time. This is my first time on a dais, so it's in this role doing this. So, being that it's 7 o'clock, I'd like to call the April 19th, 2022 meeting of the Keyport Borough Council to order. Michelle, would you please read the sunshine law?
This is a regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Keyport, Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. Let the minutes show that adequate notice of this meeting as required by Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, has been provided by the annual notice, which has been posted on the bulletin boards filed with the Borough Clerk and has been sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Independent, the Star Ledger, and the Sugar Times.
Thank you. And Michelle, would you please do a roll call?
Mayor Kennedy. Council President McNamara.
Here.
Councilmember Pacheco. Councilmember McDermott.
Here.
Councilmember Davidson.
Here.
Councilmember Arania.
Here.
And Councilmember Pepperoni.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. If everyone would join me in singing the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a moment of silence if you're choosing. Thank you. I'm going to start with committee reports. Councilmember McDermott.
Environmental Commission, I would like to thank everyone who volunteered for the Ocean Beach Weeks, and that was successful. We had actually members from the Keyport High School as well, from the environmental committee there, and other members of the community, so and the Eagles and all that stuff. So thank you everyone for doing that. I think we really did have a successful event, and the weather did cooperate with us because it rained thereafter. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I think I shared the photo. Jay, if you could just make sure it gets on the borough website. If I did, has it been done already? And I did have a question about the budget, but anyway, about the expenses for that day. The second thing with KBBC, so there are some pending items that we would have a follow-up meeting with one of the members of the KBBC Vice President to talk about some events that require street closures and things like that with the borough. So that's being arranged for next week or the week after, regarding schedules and things like that. The mayor, myself, I think Jen would be there, Chief Torres, and whomever else, you know. And then the other thing, so just know that some of those pending items is because we want to have a kind of discussion with how this is going to be organized, in case the public's wondering why they're not approved. The other thing that's important, and it's something for consideration, if you notice, the Irish flags is still up. So there was an email submitted by the Vice President asking for, if you have an opportunity, we're going to have a vendor flip the Irish flags to the American flags. We just need the governing body to note if that's okay, and it will be put through the season and taken down after Memorial Day weekend. So if there are any concerns, you guys let me know. But I don't know if we need to make a motion for that, but there's, I guess, typically if there's a concern. Any concerns with changing the flag over? Okay. All right, so we'll let KBBC know that they can go ahead and move forward with that. And then the other factor with KBBC is the ordinance that was approved. If that can be sent over officially to them, so that it's clearly understood what the next steps are for that.
Okay, thank you. And that actually clears up a question I had that was going to come up much later in the meeting. There's a thing under new business about flags. So you must have filmed it. Okay, so we did on that.
Oh, one more thing I want to know. Farmers Market, I think it's set to kick off in May. I know we already do it. PBC is doing some marketing for that. Please note that's going to be at the bottom of the mini park area, so when that does kick off, that's probably one of the first events. So just support it, you know, spread the word. If you see the post and stuff, share it. And then I think they're soon after, like around June-ish, I think we get about the Sunday music thing. But I just want to make sure you said, I know the farmer's market's been the one that we've been hosting out for that.
Thank you. Councilmember Davidson?
Thank you. So start with parking, the parking committee met last week, and we were a small group, but we were able to go through the report that Andrew has been working on consistently. We saw a few things that we're reviewing again, so we have a final report now, and we're hoping to have that to the full governing body by early summer for a review and to see what next steps would be after that point. So again, always thank you to Andrew for his hard work and attention to detail in that report, and his time with that is truly amazing. As far as planning board, we met last month for where the mayor and I were able to sit. PRC came before us. They had a few administrative changes with their project, which is right behind the fishery. They just came to us looking for a change of facade, color. Everything they're doing there looks to be great and in keeping with the original approval of the plan, which was way before my time on council or planning board. So that project is moving along nicely. Our next meeting is April 28th, and we have a full agenda that night, so I'll report on that for my next committee report. As far as DPW goes, we started hydrant flushing today. It's going to go until May 6th. It'll be 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day, and not on weekdays. That happen on weekends? Just Monday through Friday, right? And then there'll be some areas that'll be happening overnight from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. So residents can expect or may experience some yellow water, low pressure. Please know it's all part of the process. Any major concerns, please reach out to the appropriate parties. As far as the construction, code enforcement, property maintenance, zoning, and tax assessor, the numbers are as follows. The UCC inspections for March were 88, building 24, electric 24, fire 6, mechanical 10, plumbing 24, UCC violations issued were 3, code enforcement inspections 64, we had 40 rental inspections, 13 house sales, 29 code enforcement violations, 18 follow-up inspections, 5 summonses were issued, 0 cases heard, property maintenance complaints received 11, landlord registrations 167, vacant property registrations 0, zoning applications 34, zoning violations 1, emergency notification forms from the Fire Bureau were 45, Fire Bureau inspections 89, and smoke detector inspections were 64. As always, make sure your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are in good working order. And that is all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Arena?
Thank you. We had our first workshop meeting for finance, and it was actually great attendance, and I think everybody was glad to hear from all the department heads of their needs and their wants. Councilwoman McNamara and myself, we actually sat with Mr. Delaney, and we put together the first introduction budget that's coming out tonight, and I think we spent probably about 4.5 hours going through that last week. So we're ready with that. Municipal Alliance, we hired a new MUA coordinator, Nikki Francis, and we had our first meeting last week. They're working on Save a Life, May 20th at the high school, and I think it's at the field, am I correct?
The football field.
Yeah. And more information will follow on that. Police, the statistics, calls for service, 758 for the month of April. Am I right, Jen?
Yes. Until April 19th.
Okay. Animal calls, we had 12. We've got stolen motor vehicle, which is 1. It's 8 for the year, so that's, something to keep an eye on. We also had suspicious activity was 7, disorderly 10, motor vehicle accidents 26, total summons 164 with motor vehicle stops of 197 and issued stops 124. For Harbor Commission, the New Jersey State Police Marine Division, the no-wake zones in the Keyport Harbor that has started, and it went from 416 to target vessels that are in the no-wake zone speeding. We're not giving out tickets yet, but they're going to monitor it. They have 2 additional dates that are scheduled for 4/24 and 5/1. NPP, we anticipate the paving of the parking lot to be put forward to the resolution at the next council meeting. We also have a community capital needs grant that we're working on, and the grant focus is going to be on the bulkhead repairs with small projects woven in there. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Pepperoni.
Thank you. Start off with Board of Health and for Union Beach Register report. Total collected, $172. For Keyport, Board of Health collected $3,349 for the month of March. For dog license, Donnie is still collecting for this year, so get those in. For recycling, there's nothing to report on that. For first aid, they had 339 total calls this month, for month of March, so they're pretty busy. They're also having bingo tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Doors open at 6, but they start at 7:30, so if you want your ticket, get in. For fire, they had 97 total calls for the month of March. Yesterday's fire in Union Beach, our ladder truck responded. And then also I didn't talk about this last week, but so the fire in Matawan with Abby's, people were asking about the animals and stuff like that. So they had maybe a couple hundred animals in there, but only 2 animals died. 1 bird, 1 guinea pig. Other than that, the ACP, or A, there you go, responded, and they were able to save most of the animals, and they were able to get them to shelter. The responding trucks for that was 2276, 2291. Our first aid bus also responded. No injuries on our end, no injuries at the scene. What else? I'm not sure what the cause of the fire was yet, but I believe we're waiting on a report. Other than that, that's it for me.
Thank you. And then I have a few things. I participated in a New Jersey League Municipality webinar on Open Public Meetings Act and League of Women Voters webinar on the winds of change. That was covering some of the various topics relating to wind energy. Along with the rest of the governing body, I marched in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Nice job by everyone. There's so many behind-the-scene helpers for these types of events. I personally really love the judging station and the battle of the bands at the end. Recreation, the egg hunt was a success, even with the shade that Mother Nature tossed our way. And those waterfront winds were crazy. But volunteers were on the ready from start to finish, and we're happy to have the library join in this year with a table as well. Patriot tickets are on sale. That is for Sunday, May 22nd. It's a 1:05 game. It's a great deal, $20 per person. Family fun ball game and an all-you-can-eat barbecue. And the nice buses, because it's a Sunday at 1 in the afternoon, we need to go in the opposite way of traffic when you have to drive there, so that makes it even pleasant, no traffic. In the communications tonight, there's an update on a self-defense session. This idea started as a way to address the need to create opportunities to engage our teens, and we're looking to test the waters with a 1-hour session for high school ladies to learn some basic moves from our local KPD. And then the following week, we're going to offer one for ladies over 18. So space for the sessions will be limited, and details will be posted on the Recreation Facebook page and the Borough website. And then flyers about various events and the full calendar will be available soon. Green Team. From time to time, I'm able to participate in some of the Sustainable Jersey Monmouth Hub meetings, as I did a few weeks ago. The meeting was specifically targeted towards the May 4th, the official date that the plastic pollution reduction law goes into effect. So if you aren't already keeping a stash of reusable bags handy, the time has come. I have some in the car, some at the front door. And if you don't have enough reusable bags, or you want to encourage folks to get excited, suggest they make their own bags from old t-shirts. You know, we all have those drawers of the ones we don't dare get rid of for whatever reason, so you can make those into DIY bags. The Senior Center had their Easter lunch last week, and next week is their volunteer lunch. Monmouth County reached out to the Senior Center to access the need for at-home COVID testing. Councilmember Areno was helpful in getting this connection in place. Monmouth County was holding regular sessions at the Senior Center, offering testing and vaccinations for many months during parts of the pandemic. I've noticed that the parking lot over at the Senior Center is regularly full again, which is nice to see, and the Keyport Skipper now includes a stop at the Keyport Library. Cannabis, March 23rd was the application submission date for the cannabis businesses looking to come to Keyport. The subcommittee had a very extensive meeting last week and is moving on to the next phase, interviews with applicants. So we anticipate having a special meeting after that, open to the public, for the businesses to present to the full governing body. As a reminder to the full governing body and employees of the borough, except for those authorized to interact, you should not be discussing the details of the applications and the process with applicants or anyone else. I don't know if Ms. Lemon will want to add anything or if that's kind of sufficient. And then, and that's it. So, do any members of the governing body have any items they wish to have pulled or tabled from the consent agenda? Communications.
Maybe for later, I don't know if we could just pull it for a separate discussion or a separate vote under communications by consent, the letter from the Historical Society.
Mm-hmm.
Which letter is to it?
Excuse me?
It's to it.
Which one?
I'm sorry, the communication number 1, the request for financial support.
You know, I have a question. Does anybody, and it's also in communications, the other letter from the Historical Society, does anybody know where they're looking? Is that in this building or in their building?
I did get confirmation on that. They're looking to replace the pictures, the 11 that are on this wall right here behind us. They're looking to replace the photos in those frames with other photos.
Okay, it looks pretty neat, like a historical timeline for the police department.
That's what he had said. He wanted to do something like that. I just asked where he wanted to put them because the vestibule was what we said, but that's not what he means.
Okay. Oh, and then the, you want to do the update on the, what do you call it, the Eagle Hose collection date? We forgot to go mention, you want to mention that now?
Yeah, we can mention that now. So Eagle Hose will be doing a collection, a boot collection, May 22nd, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the highway, I believe, right? Or is that on the
I know,
highway?
I think it's at Broadway and West 4th, but the reason we bring it up is they do have a communication in the packet, communication number 4, and they have put the date as May 23rd, which would be the Monday, and it's not even, that Monday's not even a holiday Monday, so we just kind of reached out to them to think perhaps it was a typo, so it's going to be the Sunday, the 22nd. So when we get to that, that'll be a change, I guess, when we file that.
Yep. And the 28th is the one on the highway from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's for Fire Patrol, and July 2nd for Fire Patrol.
Mhm. Okay.
But that's not in here, right?
That's,
I have a question. On the consent agenda, this might be for Jay. On R 2022, 117 and 118, is it normal for our solicitation to go out in April?
It is generally in April. There was a, I don't know if you know, Councilmember Pacheco is not here tonight. There was a recommendation from the Harbor Commission regarding those.
In previous years?
No, this year. But again, I believe the recommendation from the Harbor Commission was that they be extended for another year. And I believe that there was a similar recommendation in prior years. But it's really up to the governing body to decide the process by which we make those available.
Yes, to add, so last year we did do an extension to those, yes.
Okay.
So now they're considering whether they want to continue.
Did the vendors from last year, have they expressed interest in this year?
They have verbally expressed interest. These fall under concessions. The value is relatively small. The boathouse that carries a $300 rental for the or concession fee for the summer season. The hot dog cart is somewhat more. I believe it's currently at $2,500.
$3,000.
I thought it was 3,000. I thought we had discussions to increase the boat, the recreational.
Well, last year there were, at the same time, there was discussion about changing that and either setting a higher minimum or increasing the fee amount. Again, the Harbor Commission has made a recommendation.
Okay, so we don't have those recommendations then.
Well, the recommendation was from the Harbor Commission through, the members that sit on that board.
Is that you?
No.
I'm on it.
So were there discussion on the fees?
No, not on the fees, but there was a discussion of why we haven't put it out for bid earlier or extended the contract earlier. That's why I'm asking the question, because they, it's so close to the season starting. But if we've done it in April previous years, then it shouldn't have been a question.
Yeah, the timing I think is the same. It's just, I do know there were like discussions to increase the boat ramp fee, right? Because that's definitely to equalize it a little bit more to, the hot dog, since they're there every day. It's not like they're only there on weekends. So to kind of equate equivalent to like the hot dog vendor
For the boathouse.
and a boat, yeah, and the boat rental too, like kind of somewhere in the middle, something like that.
And then, let me ask you a question. We've gone from 3,000 in 2016 down to what's showing in 21 as 2,515. So, was that out for bid for that?
It is
timeframe?
my understanding that it was adjusted for the first, I believe, if I have the dates correct, in 2020 because the season started late as a result of COVID. Last year, the discussion or recommendation was that they be renewed at the same rates, basically to make up for what had been a shortened season the year before.
I think they were retro, but similar to what we were talking about with the lockers,
Right.
to retro for the time that they weren't consuming it, we put them on. That's what we said.
Jay, I have a question about the boathouse. What is all included in that rent? Like, what do they get? Is it just the building? Do they get water? Do they get power? What's all included in that $300?
Certainly it includes water. I believe that also includes electric for the building, because the concessionaire does not pay the electric cost.
So the hot dog people for a piece of land pay $3, and they're using our facilities for $300. That almost seems like it should be swapped. If you ask me, it doesn't seem
Or-
fair. And they don't get garbage neither, the hot dog people, I don't think, right?
They're required to, I believe, dispose of their own
Yeah.
garbage.
But the building gets garbage as well?
I don't know that offhand. Neither one of these is a significant amount of money, although one is significantly less than the other. Again, I don't know the history. Other than the boathouse is a relatively new concession. That's only been in existence for 3 years.
Is that for everyday use, for weekend use?
It's everyday use. Basically, it's a 5-month period.
So they could set camp up there, and so that's $300 for the season? I mean, they can go through that water in $300 of water in a
That's
month.
why I'm asking the question, right?
That doesn't
Yes, which is
seem-
what I'm asking this question. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be fully transparent, as a governing body, we can make decisions without a commission or committee or board. I mean, this is like, if we know we need to increase this, we probably should make decisions before it goes out to bid.
Yeah, I think that needs to be raised a
The
lot.
second point is, I know that in the past there were discussions with the hot dog vendor to be connected to the boathouse because it has electricity or gas or whatever, instead of them having a portable gas tank or electricity or something. I don't.
What do they have to run the hot dog truck?
It's a portable gas thing. A
Generator.
generator, sorry, yeah, sorry, generator.
You want one, I have one.
I could design your data system. Anyway, so it was to connect them so that they don't have to have a portable.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any, since I've been here, any discussion about relocation of the hot dog vendor.
I don't
Yeah.
think it was relocation, I don't think it was just a connection to the boathouse so
Like
that,
a service,
a service.
a service for the hot dog cart.
That would go like, I would be nervous that boats going in.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're gonna
well,
connect it.
Ramp.
You basically set it up so they can just like,
But,
I don't know. Again, that, I'm just sharing historical information that we probably need to address.
Jay, these resolutions that are on here just give you the, okay, there's no amounts on here as to what we charge. So that's really, at this point, when if you put these out, it's just a matter of, do those vendors submit and submit the way they did last year, and maybe other people submit as well?
Right. Typically, the minimum is what is set as the minimum. In the past, they were fairly low minimums. Again, I don't have any information on the history other than what has been paid in the case of the boathouse for the 3 years. For the hot dog information, I think we looked back 6 years.
Is there a bathroom in the building too? Or
Yes.
There is a
Yeah.
there's a bathroom as
Yes.
well?
Yes.
There you go with
Great.
someone.
It's used by the public. And it's used by the public.
Publicly?
No, but the people that own it use it
Yeah.
daily.
There's no, it's not used for the public.
No, they use the portage on the water for that.
What do they do in the boathouse? Like, is it, they're selling something out of there, or?
The concession allows for some sales, but it is essentially geared towards non-motorized personal watercraft, kayaks, paddleboards.
We could make that a bait shop and probably make,
Yeah, but they were competing with bake shops in town though. They were competing with other businesses in town. that
for
did that.
$300, what if, I mean, it's costing us more to have it there, right? Doesn't seem.
So I do have a question. When we put this out to bid, do we have to put the fees in or no?
Yeah, and just so we're clear, because of the value of the concession, it is not technically a bid in the normal sense, it is a request for proposals.
Right.
Just that there's a slight nuance there in the difference, but yes, we put out the request for proposals.
Okay.
So then if we're going to approve this tonight, are we having the discussion to raise the fees now or instead of?
Yes, the resolutions that were drafted do not have a dollar amount in them.
Was there any?
So is that new business or is that within the resolution?
It's within the resolutions.
In terms of us setting a minimum.
Right. Again, I was not privy to the discussion that may have taken place at the Harbor Commission meeting. The recommendation was that they be renewed, extended for,
Which
the
they,
The
current.
same vendors, the same
yeah,
vendors.
the same vendors, they did say that.
Okay, so do any other members of the governing body have any additional items they need to discuss from the consent agenda? Do we-
Yes, well,
How do you want to handle those 2 items?
I have the budget question, expense question.
Oh,
Use
okay.
those.
Mhm.
So, on the April 19th, 2022 bill, on page 3, it talks about hydrants, $3,942.79. And star grip restraints. Is that a replacement of a hydrant or is that like multiple hydrants we're replacing?
This is both, trying to understand the specifics of this. I believe that is a hydrant replacement, that's for a new hydrant.
Okay.
I know there were also parts that were ordered. I actually have to see the specific invoice to determine whether that is the parts for a replacement.
Do we know where it was replaced?
I'm sorry?
Do we know where it was replaced?
If memory serves me, the public works superintendent indicated that this is a hydrant to have an inventory for emergency replacement. But at the same time, there have been discussions about the repairs to two hydrants, so again, it's one or the other, and I can't, I frankly just don't know which, if this is the specific invoice. This does say 5¼ hydrant, 5 foot. I believe this is the hydrant replacement. I know Trevor, can you help me out with that?
I believe it was, like Mr. Delaney indicated, a spare hydrant, just in case one gets hit. DPW has one in their yard that they can use for replacement. But as you know, they order parts to try to repair some of the hydrants, so
Sometimes we do.
I don't know the
So it
details.
costs about 4,000 a port. So this is like if we replace all hydrants, it's the price we'll have to pay.
Yeah, this is just the hydrant itself or the parts.
A new hydrant installed is somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,000,
Okay.
so it sounds about right for one hydrant, just material.
So I have another question on the one dated April 8th. It says committee 2021 cleanup expenses, $26. Was that for the police sweep?
Is there a page number that you're looking
Oh,
for?
sorry, page 2.
Page. And the vendor name, please?
It says payroll, that's all it says.
Oh, payroll, yes. This is just the payroll cost for, let's see, page 2. Yes, this is salaries paid to the Clean Communities Coordinator
Okay.
for the payroll period.
Okay. That's DPW, which is now part of DPW.
That's correct. The Public Works Superintendent is the Clean Communities Coordinator. Although there are also salaries for a part-time employee that are also charged to the Clean Communities line. So it's the combination of the two.
Okay, thank you. I guess was there any expenses associated to the event for the environmental commission for that day? I just want to make sure if there were, that we have that in our expenses.
Yeah, I don't believe there were any direct expenses.
Okay, thank you. That's on me.
Anyone else?
One quick question on the, again, payment of bills, page 14, under Skylands area fire equipment. The total is $21,000, but I'm curious what the $9,346 charge is, and there's a $7,337.70. And then the one under that is $2351.58. Just curious what those charges are for.
Yes, they are both related to, you can see the description as being firefighter gear. And these were last year budget items. They're charged to last year budget lines. If you recall, the 2021 budget included a $20,000 appropriation for planned replacement of firefighter gear.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay, so if there's no additional commentary, do I have a motion to, I'm sorry. Anyone want to do anything about the proposals, or they're fine?
Wasn't the public get to speak?
Yeah, they will, before the budget.
You okay with,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So then,
Putting
so
the dollar amount in?
you want to do that, or? Okay.
So we're doing it now, we're pulling them and then open to the public and then come back to that. Should we just decide it now?
We could open to the public and just back and then just vote.
Okay, we can come back to it. So can I have a motion to open to the public for the resolutions and communications only?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Merla?
Yes. Thank you, Acting Mayor. John Merla, 34 Broad Street. Regards to 2022-117, the authorization of the proposal for the work from food service. In the discussion that I've heard tonight, you should also know that the vendor is there now, their family's been there for 12 years. It's not like they haven't, plus that vendor is a Keyport resident and taxpayer. And my thing is that we all know that money that's generated goes into the BRIT account, which is used for recreational purposes in the borough. It was never really a money maker. But just think about this. How many hot dogs has to be sold to make $3,000? It's ludicrous, to be honest with you, because we are showing signs of the properties, two different entities are within 50 feet of each other. One has water, one has to bring their own. One has access to garbage, one has access, they have to bring it home. One has electric, one has no electric. One proposed to run electric from one of our poles years ago and was told no. And if you think about it, not only does the boathouse have all that for less, across the street, they utilize borough parking for their trailer and all their customers. And then the hot dog vendor, her table was moved last year because someone said it was in the way and it needed to be moved. The cars are being told, you gotta move, can't pull in there. You know, listen, we gotta be fair. We have to really be fair. And I think the fairness is, if you're gonna charge that individual $2,500 to have a hot dog cart, then you should afford that individual a 2 to 3 year contract. That's fair. Otherwise, I mean, every year, if she or he has to do this, I don't think that's fair at all. I mean, it's just something to think about, but it's not about money, it's about semantics. This is wrong. This is wrong. $300. I mean, come on, that's a kick in our face. $300. Probably why he's down there, $300 worth of water's used. I mean, you know, it's not fair at all. My second thing is 2022-119, we're appointing a laborer in the Department of Public Works. Mr. Delaney, is this the same individual that we tabled 3 meetings ago that we were going to hire?
No.
No. Was he ever hired?
He was hired in a seasonal capacity.
Seasonal?
Yeah.
Okay, and so this laborer is somebody totally new?
Well, it's someone that has experience here as a seasonal, but is being hired on a permanent basis.
Okay, thank
To a
you.
full-time position.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Mr. Wally?
George Wallington, 42nd Street. In regards to what Mr. Rowe just talked about, the boathouse, I put that up a couple of years ago when Mr. Gallo was here about the utilization of the property across the street. We need to make sure that we're specific when we write this up, that they do not use that at all. Councilman Good last year had to go down here a couple of times to have him remove his trailer. Otherwise, I was going to sign a complaint and have him a ticket. 2022-119, that's a full-time employee?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that didn't state that on the resolution. Is it possible going forward where you have that kind of wording?
The question regarding a full-time? Yeah.
Yeah, because if you go on the web page, you're looking for part-time, seasonal, and full-time.
Right.
You're filling the position tonight, what is it?
It's a full-time position.
It doesn't say that.
Well, the body of the resolution does, but I understand your point.
We don't see the resolution.
I see your point.
Okay.
You're requesting that it be specified in the title that it's a full-time position.
Exactly. Now the police, is that a separate entity, Shannon?
Are we a separate entity
Yeah.
on the budget, you mean?
No, you're hiring a police officer tonight, or appointing, I'm sorry. Is that something that should be on the Borough webpage, or is that something that you guys do separately?
That's a part-time CO2.
Right. But should that be put on the Borough website as a position to be filled, or is that something that you guys do?
We have, like, we go out, we do outreach to different colleges, and we look through what's called the law enforcement program. And occasionally when we see a good candidate for CO2 and there's an opening, so we do not want to put that up on there. We put it up through the police app
Okay,
for it.
that's fine, I was just looking for clarification. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Lane?
Michael Lane, 51 First Street, Keyport. Good evening, members of council. I just want to add to some of the discussion about the hot dog operation down by the boat ramp. It's been, as Mr. Merle indicated and George indicated, it's been here operating for years, but it's been a significant change in the operation over time. And we don't want to go back to the old operation. For example, the old operation, they used to have a gas-powered generator. You could sit on the patio at the Keyport Yacht Club and identify when that generator was running. You could be on your boat out in the harbor and you could hear it loud and clear. So there were conditions set that that generator had to really be a quiet operation. And it's no longer a change from a gas generator to a propane powered generator. And the whole cooking apparatus is propane powered. So how are we going to build on all the experience that used to be codified? Because the present resolution says Mr. Delaney's going to delineate it. I don't understand. And why hasn't it been reviewed, the contract with the Harbor Commission, so that we know that there's not going to be a noise problem? So
First of all, Mr. Lane, if I may, your statement is not accurate. The resolution specifies that that the proposal shall be on the same terms and conditions as previously provided. So it does not provide you with discretion to change the terms and conditions.
And the resolution that I read states that Mr. Delaney was authorized and directed to prepare the necessary documents. So where are the necessary documents?
If I may, it fully says that the administrator is authorized and directed to prepare the necessary documents and provide for the public solicitation of proposals for the operation of this concession for the 2022 season on the same terms and conditions as previously provided.
So have those terms and conditions, where are they delineated? How does the council know what they are?
They're the same terms and conditions that were provided previously.
So we're not going to have a noise problem.
I don't believe that there's no proposed change to the terms and conditions other than the minimum fee that is up for discussion.
I was at the Harbor Commission meeting, and it wasn't clear in my attendance at that meeting that they understood what was going on. And I don't understand how that could happen. And maybe one of the council people who was at the meeting could verify it wasn't clear. Relative to the boathouse, $300 for almost 150 days. $2 a day? $2 a day. You get electricity, you get water, and get a toilet. What a deal. It's $2 a day for our prime waterfront property. And then we had a problem in the past, and maybe some of the more senior members here can verify it. We had an operation at the boathouse where the person was selling clothing, was selling bait, was selling refreshments, and that had to be shut down. I hope we're not going to go back on that. Now you talked about, well, could they sell bait? The problem with selling bait, you got to have a water tank, you got to have a pump, you got to have water. It's a very expensive operation, and so that's why they don't sell bait there. Plus, the reason they compete with the store in town that pays taxes, pays significantly more than $2 a day. So I ask you to really look at that $2 a day. Now, the other thing that was brought up, and it's been a thorny issue for some time, is taking the kayak trailer and parking it across the street where the old Keyport Historic Museum used to be, in the Steamboat Dock Museum. The kayaks should be parked, the trailer should be parked where the kayaks are used, and they should be parked on the beach park property. Now, the fact that we're not billing for any utility service because there's no meters there. So I ask you to think of that. Also, you have a resolution for support of a pump out operation. And I looked at that resolution, and there are pump out, and I shared this with you before, there are pump out facilities at almost every harbor around, Great Hills, Perth Amboy, Atlantic Island. We do not have a pump out facility in Keyport. One of the problems is you can't get a sailboat to the docks in Keyport, except at very high tides. So, the baykeeper was operating a pump-out boat that a boat owner, and this is a tremendous convenience, and it really increases the use of the pump-out facility. The boat owner didn't have to be on the boat. He would call and make a reservation to have the pump-out boat come out to his boat, hook up, and he had to verify that his hookup was okay, and pump it out, and then they would bill him. And so that's not a pump-out facility on the docks or anything, which already exists at all these other ports. So we ought to focus on fixing the problem in Keyport. And I ask you to rework that resolution with the Harbor Commission. Sit down with them, talk to them. You have on the Harbor Commission, almost every one of them is a boat owner, or has been a boat owner. You have a operator of a marina, certainly knows the situation. So I ask you, take that draft to the Harbor Commission, sit down with them, and rework it. Under communications, letter number 11. The letter to ABC. So I just saw that letter. The applicant is withdrawing his plans to use 2 East Front. Did you get any insight as to why that's happening?
No, I didn't.
Pardon?
No, he did not say why.
No insight. Okay. Okay, that's all I had at this point. Thank you. Again, I ask you to work with your Harbor Commission. That's why they're there. They're a really talented set of people.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Lane.
Donna Purcell, 396 Maple Place. I'm going to discuss, or I'd like to talk about the hot dog vendor. Traditionally, that has gone out to bid. I think what I'm hearing is that because it's under the threshold, it doesn't need to, but that's how it's always been. I think it was a closed bid. It would come down and open up the bids, and whoever, whoever offered the highest. So, and they would start the bid with a minimum. So I don't know, now, all of a sudden it's gonna be a request, proposal for request, whatever. Let's not forget that the vendor also pays a $250 fee for the food license. So, right off the bat, that's only $50 less than what the boathouse is paying $300 for a full season. I think the boathouse can make that $300 in one morning, based on what they charge, like an hourly rate for every time, somebody wants to go out with a kayak. And like John Merle said, you know how many hot dogs you have to sell? To, make three, he's making his 300 back, he, she, whoever, is making that money back in a flash. For many years, I've always suggested, I felt it was fair, that whoever would win the bid for that hot dog vending should be afforded a couple-year contract, because by the time they purchase their unit, pay for the insurance, register it, get the hot dogs, hope it doesn't rain on a daily basis, then before we know it, the season's over and they're going, well, am I doing this next year? Am I not doing this next year? So I think it's something that the council should consider moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Yes, I'm sorry, I don't
Christina Gruber, 144 Surrey Street, Keyport. I'm also talking about the hot dog stand. So while I get that it is a monetary thing, I think part of living in Keyport, we all know, is the small town feel. So I do think you should consider, when considering offering them a multi-year contract, it's a family that lives in town. It is a mom that you have all seen volunteer for the last 5 years as an elf at Christmas to bring joy to this town. It is a mom who has children that go to our schools. It is a mom who volunteers for the PTO for our education foundation. On top of it, we've had no rec since COVID. I don't know if you've all noticed, our streets have been much busier, especially those of us that have kids that ride around on bikes. That is a safe place. They know there's a mom in town they can go to if something happens. She is a mom that has a cell phone ready to contact a parent. Somebody needs a Band-Aid, there's a first aid kit there. Her kids are constantly down there playing. It has become more than just a bid to go out. That is a staple in our community. And I do think it's something that they have rolled with all the punches that the town has had to deal with since COVID, whether it's canceled festivals, which they rely on to make back that big amount of money, delayed openings because of COVID, reduced traffic because of COVID. So I think when you consider a multi-year contract, I think that's something to keep in mind, that it's a member of our community, it's someone who consistently gives back, and it's something that the members of the community like seeing down there. The truck is decorated for holidays. She's rolled with taking away a table, so that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Valerie Powers, 14 Main Street, Keyport. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for all you do for our town as well. I am the hot dog lady. It's me, Funny Girl Hot Dog. So, thank you everybody that spoke. Funny girl, my hair's fine, but I just want to say that although it is a very small amount, $3,000, that should not be a bid, like you said. It is $3,000 that is accounted for a long time. $3,000 we also pay, like Donna said, the food vendor, the food licensing, the health inspection. The fire department has to come and approve. We need to make sure everything is up to par. We do not, Mike Lane, have a propane running hot dog truck. We have propane as well as a gas generator that we have, the quietest generator we could find, because we too like the sound of the serene waterfront and hearing the boats come in and the laughter and everybody around all the festivals. The last few years, it's been hard because festivals have stopped, the street fairs, the dog nights out, dog night out, all of those things, but we rolled with the punches because it was a place people could come to during COVID. They could come there, nothing was really, restrained, we were 6 feet away, they could sit where they wanted. The price, part of my tone, it's $3,000 that we're paying, and hearing that the boathouse was $300. when we don't even have a place to go to the bathroom, because honestly, the porta potty isn't even clean. So you hold it for 8 hours, and you just try not to drink as much water on a 100-degree day without air conditioning. The $3,000 to $300 is amazing. I might have to bid for the boathouse this year. You know, that might be a thought. So if you would just consider your pricing, we've really been going out as much as we can. We're not really there for, you know, my overall income. I'm a school teacher, so it's the perfect job for the summer. But just consider when you're making the price, even if it's not me. We did ask if we could tap right into the electricity pole, which is right there, not even 5 feet from the truck. It would also, I don't know if you ever ran a hot dog truck, it sounds like the dream job, it's so easy. But the food, we have to remove every night because when you run with a generator, which by the way, gas prices are astronomical right now, and to be honest, we considered, should we even do this? $6 a gallon to run the generator, it's going to be $30 a day just for gas to run the generator. And then propane. And then bring the ice every day from your house back and forth or from wherever our kitchen is. And removing the garbage because I live in Keyport and I bring the garbage back to my house in Keyport that picks up the same garbage that picks up at the waterfront, but I have to bring it home. I'm not understanding that as well. So even though this is just negotiation about price, there are a lot of things that run into it. If we could tap into that pole, I wouldn't need to remove my food every night to bring it home to a refrigerator or bring it to, or we bring it for our cooking license. So those things need to be considered. It's not just $3,000, it's just so easy. It does go to recreation, which when we had the rec department coming in, we donated to all the kids that used to walk down to the waterfront and get a hot dog for $1 and a chip and a water, and it was a joy. So I thank you for your time and consideration, but it's not just a food concession stand. It's part of our little home. We even made it to the nice mural that's painted on the side. Just a couple things to think about. We're not here to like break the bank. We're not here to compete with the uptown. We're here just to recommend everybody, did you try Old Glory? Did you try McDonald's? You should go to the ice cream place. That's what we're really there for, just to keep it moving and happy. Thank you.
I do have a question for you. Are you willing to move location?
It depends where. We were asked to move across the street, and to be honest with you, there's a lot of flooding, and there's quite a...
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about moving closer to the boathouse. That's all.
We would have to see where it is. I mean, if it would work, it would be fine. I mean, it's just parking, and it's easy to walk up right there. People are always watching boats at the boat ramp. Where it is, it seems very, stable, and people come. It's a nice scene, you get the flagpole vibes. It just feels patriotic.
Benches.
Any other questions?
Right around that turn when you turn in.
What is the total in fees you have to pay after rent?
It's about $5,500 just to run the whole business, and then you have to get insurance. Never mind, we were trying to sub out, having people work there, which in previous years, we've had this contract already in place by April, May, and we used to do May to October. It was only a price adjusted $2,500 because we didn't start till almost June the one year.
Right.
But normally it was April 15th to October 15th, and it was $1,500 that used to go back in the day. Our cousin owned it for 8 years prior to us. It was $1,500, and it was more than 1 year to year. When you're a year-to-year vendor, it's hard to go buy t-shirts and make everything great because you don't want to build up this business that next year someone else is going to take right out from under you. It's really something that we do it anyway, we try, but to know that that's there every year and then now trying to get people to come back to work for us, now I have to start May and then we get the call, are you open yet? Well, I have nobody to run it yet because I didn't know I was getting the bid back. So it's a lot of things to consider. It's not just, roll up. I'm very thankful last year they did grant us the privilege to stay there and not have to tow it out every night, which we did for 4 years. That was removing the oil from the fryer every night, waiting for it to cool down, driving it, parking it, bringing it back in the morning, towing it in, setting it up. So we finally were granted permission to stay there for our lease, which we're paying the whole lease. I don't know why we'd have to remove it nightly. But we do not have anything that comes with it. No water, we bring our own water, our own gas, our own propane, and like,
But you do remove it if there's a storm coming.
if it's raining, correct, of
If
course.
there's a
That,
safety,
without
public
a doubt,
safety issue, you move it.
100%.
So I understand that too, that's not, it's there to go through it.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and that would be even on our end. We would keep it there for
You
that.
put it in the boathouse, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, so, that's all I have to say about that. Have a good night.
Thank you. Yes, Andrew?
Andrew Kelsey, 29 St. Peters. You know, it seems like a real no-brainer to let them hook into the electric. I'm sure there's a way you could monitor the usage and have some threshold where if it goes over, there could be fees, or, you know, look at what they're running, and you can calculate it, it's not that hard. You know, I know the generator, she runs down there, and it is a quiet generator, but it's still a generator. It's noisy. Why do any of us want that to happen down there? It really breaks the peace, so make the effort, please, to let them hook in and make an arrangement for the usage or whatever. Also, it seems like these topics that need more attention always happen at the last minute. Why aren't we talking about this 6 months ago?
Yep.
If
3
this
years
is
ago.
something that, you know, should be negotiated or considered differently, or, hey, what is really happening every year? So, you know, I mean, I think with everything, like, these things come up year after year, and it's always last minute. Oh my God, we got a month to go, why is it here, it's already late. So, that's my suggestion, you know, get ahead of the ball here. So, that's all, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr.
Just a quick follow-up. Just, if you need a reference, Union Beach tied in. When Tony's hot dog cart was on the waterfront near Fireman's Park, Jersey Central came in, they ran the line, he paid the bill. It was a bill that was calculated every month, and he paid the electric bill. So it's still there till, as we speak today. So Union Beach has already done that. So we can contact Union Beach and say, hey, listen, what was the cost to the municipality when Tony's hot dog cart in Union Beach 3 years ago tied into the electric on the pole? Matter of fact, your pole was closer to your proximity than he was, but he moved his to accommodate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Okay. Any questions additionally from the governing body?
No, you
Motion
got
to close to the public?
No, you got hands up.
Okay, hold on, wait, stop, I take it back. I think.
You got hands up.
Lane, your hands is back up.
I just want to restate, I think the hot dog operation is a real benefit to the borough waterfront. And the input that Andrew Kelsey gave about solving the generator problem by providing electricity really needs to be followed through. And the location where the hot dog vendor operates, I think, is a very good location for the operation, because there's a great big picnic table right next to it. It's out of the way of the boat ramp. I certainly wouldn't move it into the boat ramp area.
I wouldn't either. Yeah, of course, blocking up.
Okay, motion to close the public.
You can't.
All in favor?
Will.
We had
I will raise my hand. No, I will.
How's it get in there now?
You know me. My name's Carol Grabowski, and I live on 48 Walnut Street. And my husband was there when the boathouse was put in, and instrumental in helping with that, being part of the Harbor Commission. And, you know, historically, I'm looking at what you're saying now. I think you had a good idea of moving it over onto the property
like on the side of the boathouse.
You mean the hot
The
dog?
hot dog stand, right. Collaborating, sharing,
Nope.
using water and electricity, perhaps even having a cooler, or not a cooler, but refrigerator in there. You know, if the town, personally, as you just spoke of, the costs, definitely they're, you know, out of line as to each. But I'm sure when they went into, they didn't know what they were gonna do with that house, for sure, historically. And maybe, as it finally was put out to somebody suggesting it being what it is now, and it is successful, putting out a low bid for that was a good idea. And, you know, if you're gonna raise it to some ridiculous high amount, this guy's gonna say, forget about it, I'm getting out of here, I
Not
can find another
ridiculous,
place.
but
But on the other hand, I mean, it definitely should be raised. And I just think if you work together on that, people could, it could be a table on that side, not that they would be running across or anything like that. But anyway, I know a lot about the history of Keyport, even the boathouse. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public? Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public?
Second.
All in favor?
I do want to add some history why, so in 2019 is when we first started the bid for the recreational non-motorized activities, and I was on the Harbor Commission. So the reason I was $300 then was because that was our first season that we had the vendor come in, and he's a local vendor that lives in the area. So that's why it was $300. Then 2020 happened, COVID, you know, then I guess it just kept the same. But everyone knew that that was $300, and the Harbor Commission was definitely not. It was more like a introductory rate, that was what we were doing. So I guess you know, again, as different individuals move out of as liaisons, the intention was to look at increasing the rental for the boathouse. There would never be any food, any business that would ever compete with another business in town. That's why, to some degree, the hot dog vendor is still there, besides the ladies here, the history there. But, you know, again, you know, people sell hot dogs in split shops, but, you know, it's okay to have it down there. So you don't have like a pizzeria, you know, maker there. So that was the reason why that boathouse was situated. And it was, and I think historically too, I think there was, the police department had, when we had a person paying, actually collecting money for the boat ramp, that was where they would actually spend the day while they're waiting for a patron to come in and out. So since we have an automated system, that tickets for like the daily and seasonal, so you just have to get tickets here, but because we don't have a daily need for someone to be there, besides maybe a police officer or whoever's in rotation with the police department to survey the boat ramp. That's why, you know, it was kind of built for that intention. It was a location for an individual to stay in. But given the fact that this is, and I know last year we also tried to look at the contract to make sure that it didn't allow that vendor to use other properties. So I'm hoping that I think at this point we may have to table this and pull it and look at the whole contract.
I think we're gonna lose time.
We're gonna
do
lose
that.
time, yeah.
Unless we approve with the stipulation that we need to make sure that contract notes that whoever's renting a boat ramp or any property on the waterfront does not utilize other borough-related property for storage. You know, that was another concern.
Is he leaving his kayak there? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, across the street he was pulling it, but then I know it was communicated to him that that's not part of his allowance. So. And again, if it's signed in the contract, another vendor can do it. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
You know?
Jay, is that, would you know if it's in the contract right now?
There
With
are,
boathouse.
there are very specific items, I don't know them offhand, they are different for the boathouse versus the hot dog concession. My recollection specific to the boathouse is that it specifically prohibits any kind of motorized watercraft from the rental operations. I believe there is some limited retail sales, but it also specifies items that cannot be sold.
Food is one of them.
Okay, so I think we do have an issue with time if we table this.
Right.
Is it okay if we go back to the original thought was coming up with a minimum fee?
I think we're gonna have to vote that separately then.
Yeah, keep them both separate. I
So
think
should we,
also.
can we discuss what the fee is and then we can vote on them separately? Or what's the process? When we're talking about that.
Recommendation?
Alright, my recommendation?
Well, what's,
Oh,
Hold them
It was
for
separate votes.
consideration,
Right,
Yeah.
separate votes.
and then go on after secretary.
Right, and also I have one more thing, on the, R 2022-120 for the pump out vote. I'd like to see if we can table that also until we actually speak with the Harbor Commission more on that piece, because they're ready to move forward on this, but they also still want to look at the yacht club. You know, having a pump out facility, so maybe we look at the two together to vote.
So you're saying they want to have a pump out facility at the yacht club?
They want to have a boat there, yeah, themselves.
Boat,
So even
not-
though
not-
we would be looking here, they are also looking on their own. So I think before we do go to county, state, and federal, let's talk to them and see what they want to do with what they're looking for to keep it that way.
Is there any reason why we can't do both? Can we approve this and the Harbor Commission
We
can
can.
still,
They're-
and the
they're
Harbor
okay with
Conversation
doing
do their
that,
own thing
too.
as well?
And
Because I think
more avenues.
if I recall the last meeting, there was a huge sense of urgency because there is no pump out boat, just to get something moving, get attention to it.
Yeah, but they're thinking that this is going to take longer than them looking at themselves.
But if they can, if we can do
But we
this
can
and
go
get this
both.
going,
I-
can that
that's
still
fine.
happen with the Harbor
Sure,
Commission?
sure.
So my understanding with this ordinance was to help bring awareness, the fact that we need one for this area.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
And when we do this entire kind of statement that the entire Bay Shore is supporting this, so when it's supporting this, that means that it's a partnership with everyone involved. So if there are different yacht clubs that have one, it's met. So it was more of a partnership and just an awareness. It wasn't so much to supersede one over the other. But this is a local ordinance, so it's
Okay, so I mean, there's no reason we can't be doing multiple efforts to.
This is very broad based.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a resolution,
Um,
not an ordinance.
And it's an introduction, it's introducing the ordinance, so this is still gonna have to get.
No,
this is just a resolution.
It's a resolution.
Okay.
Okay, so first we'll just, we have a motion pulling out resolutions 117 and 118 for separate consideration, so we can do the fees. And then, if it's the pleasure of the council, do approval for the remaining items.
I make a motion to approve R 2022-113 through 116 and R 2022-120
About 119.
and resolution 2022-119.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman McDermott?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davidson?
Yes.
Councilwoman McNamara?
Yes.
Councilwoman Aronia?
Yes.
Councilman Pepperoni?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then do we want to, do 117 and 118? So we do them now?
First, yes.
Okay. So 117, do we have any comment on the minimum fee? I think is what we're looking to do on both of these right now.
I don't know personally historically why it went from 1,500 to 3,000. I don't think any of us here know why we had that jump. But I think considering the circumstances, how everything's increased, the cost to run a business these days, food costs everything, I would like to not go any higher than $1,500 and then put in a multi-year agreement with that.
If I may, regarding the multi-year agreement, the site on which the hot dog stand is located is Green Acres encumbered. Anything more than 1 year, we require prior Green Acres approval. And it's my understanding, based on the discussion last year, because at that time, the Harbor Commission's recommendation was to have a multi-year contract. That had been reviewed, and that was the determination at that time. So that is possible. It's just not, that is a a fairly significant change in the manner in which the award is given, and that would require prior review by Green Acres.
So whatever we do right now is for this year, and then I guess the ask would be for Harbor or whomever to work on it. So I think there was a suggestion, get this so it can happen earlier in the year next year, and that maybe then, if that's the desire, is to make it multi-year, that gets worked on during the year. And right now, this would just be for this year.
Well, could we lock it into a multi-year with the stipulation that if they don't approve it, it just goes back down to a 1 year?
I think the better approach would be to approve it for 1 year, and you can always come back and do a new resolution, amending that resolution to extend it for a multi-year.
This year we can
You can do that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
As soon as you get back from Green Acres with the approval, you can do a new resolution extending the term of the prior resolution.
Oh, perfect, okay.
And my thought would be, if people feel strongly about things like looking at the electric and all of these other things, while we're waiting for Green Acres to come back, in terms of a multi-year, we can do our homework on that and come up with, what a multi-year looks like.
Perfect.
Is there any reason why, while we're looking at a long-term plan for the electric, she can't tap into the pole that's next to her? Is there a reason with the fire bureau or engineering, or any reason why she can't do that while we're trying to...
I've never, tonight was the first time I heard any discussion about a prior request to do that. I'm not sure what the rationale was as to why it was not permitted. Frankly, I'm not even, I'm just not familiar with the specifics of the electric service that's there, whether it's sufficient, what else it services. So I think that's something that we would have to look at.
So if we, I guess, with this resolution, if we reduce the fees, can we also put in there that, or we have a note that we can go back and look at the electric and make a good effort between now and opening day for her to see if there's any reason why she can't tap into it? Is that possible? Am I talking in circles? That could be.
Well, I think,
How many amps?
go ahead.
I think what you can do is, since it's going to be an agreement, and you can look into to see what the issue is, or if there's no issue in tying into, and then you can just incorporate that into the agreement.
It's only a 110 service they need over there. They don't need like anything big. So that pole would be able to handle it. I believe there's a little splice point at the bottom. You could put a little, outlet there with a twist lock even if you want it.
There is an outlet.
There's an outlet
There's an
now.
outlet already.
at the top too,
Yeah.
at the top of the pole.
Yeah, it wouldn't
They would
take
have
much.
I think there's GFIs on each of the light poles.
Yes.
Oh, there
They're
is.
just,
Yeah.
if it's just a standard electric service,
Covers
just
it.
plug right into it.
I mean, a generator's right.
No
I
way,
think
there's
the
no way to
issue-
meter that.
Right, that's the issue. I think there wasn't any way to meter that,
What do you?
rather than
I
put
just
in a fee.
calculated.
Well, I think we're running a microwave and what else?
A microwave
The boathouse.
just occasionally, but really a mini refrigerator. That's it for the food, and freezer, small.
Okay.
I mean, we're not gonna be able to make a decision right now. We would have to have somebody go look at the location and see if that's even doable. So, at this point, I would say, if you want to move it forward and put a price on it, and, with the service the way it was, and that, certainly, if we wanna look into that, but if we wanna make sure that she's up and running, do we have any other thoughts on the amount?
I mean, if we're gonna reduce the fee, I do think, I think the issue is about the cost we're tapping into that. So, I don't know if
What
we
about
just
the
want to make an
boathouse?
assumption about, if we're able to to get it tapped in there. $500, whatever it is, and in that way, it's not it's just kind of a wash. So increase it to 2,000, if we were able to get a connection in there, it's now 1,500.
There's a
Yeah,
plug
and
there,
then
right?
electricity included.
I don't know if we don't know if the outlet works. That's the other factor.
So you're saying 1,500 existing the way it is,
Yes.
and then 500 if the electric is tapped in?
Right.
Well, I guess we'll try to see if we can get it metered,
Okay,
right?
I'm only making a bait,
I just
I'm
found
not an electrician.
Just so that we're clear,
Increase in power.
the rental on, we're talking specific to the hot dog location, hot dog concession. For the past 2 years, the fee that has been paid has been just over $2,500. Prior to that, it had been $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about reducing it to a minimum of $1,500 for the coming season? Is that what's being
From
suggested?
the 2,500 that it was previously.
Oh, no, but he's right, the regular price is 3,000, that's the price.
That was
So we
for 1
reduced
year. 1 year was 3,000.
Maybe I'm a little slow tonight, I'm really sorry. So is it 3,000 that she's paying, or is it
The
2,500?
past 2 years, it's been $2,515 is the information that I reviewed. Prior to that, it was 3,000.
3,000
For
so
1
19
year.
was 3,014.
Which was a
for
bid.
1 year.
It was a bid. We had a bid for
Yeah,
that
the bid,
position.
okay.
It was 1,800.
Oh my God.
So is that what we want to do? We want to say that it's $1,500 for the year?
Yeah.
Well, this is the minimum that's being
Right, the
proposed.
minimum, right, the minimum number, right, on that 117.
That's without
Will be-
tapping into electricity.
Correct, right.
I think we can establish the order separately then, right, that's what we discussed.
All right, so 117, we would put a minimum 1,500 payment on that. And then can we do the other one and then do them both at the same time in terms of approving them? We have to do one first.
Right, I'll make a motion
Okay.
to approve R 2022-117 for $1,500 for the season.
Just so we're clear, that's the minimum
The
requirement.
the minimum charge for the
The minimum
season
bid going up.
with RP, it's RP actually, RP, without tapping into any electrical.
Anybody want to second that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Proposal.
Oh, it's a roll call, sorry.
Crazy.
Councilmember McDermott. Councilmember Davidson.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
Councilmember Ronio.
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Okay, same conversation on 118.
I suggest 1,500, just keep it the
I think
same.
it should be the same.
Yeah, I was
Well, I don't, okay,
At
I don't know if it
least.
should be the same because they are getting.
At least.
They're getting bathrooms and stuff like that, so should, I think I'd be able to.
I do want to have a stipulation this. I mean, the hot dog vending, this personnel should be able to use the bathroom that's in the boathouse.
You're creating a nightmare.
Am I? Okay, sorry.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, my
we'll
opinion.
withdraw that.
Can't we just shut the water to the boathouse? What do they need water for? There's a porta potty, it's the same they gotta use.
I don't know. That might freeze. I don't know.
We isolate it out.
Then make it 2,000.
I wouldn't want to take a bathroom away from them.
No, but I mean, $1,500, you're paying $1,500 for a piece of property, they're getting a house for $1,500. I mean, it's, how much is it?
Right, but he also, I think, it was expressed that it was an introductory rate, so I think there was understanding that the rate was probably gonna go up. I think it's, you know, we talked about being fair, like to go from 300 to 1,500 or 2,000, that doesn't sit well as fair either. I understand all the other logistics of what that person's been getting. You know, I'll say that he does community give back too, right? I mean, he has things for the kids where they get free days and sessions and stuff like that. So, you know, if we want to revisit it, I would just say, you know, I don't think to turn around and put them up, you know, thousands and thousands of percent is necessarily the goal. I mean, there might be a long-term goal to figure out how to, you know, do that, but.
What is it to rent a kayak? What's his?
I don't know.
A lot.
For electricity.
$30. But okay, so I do know and she's right. He does offer. He works in partnership with the rec committee, and he'll do like a day. If you show your card, your ID for school, he'll give you. It's like $10 or something to rent or something versus the regular rate of $30 an hour. So again, I don't know what the rates are now.
More than 30.
That's all I can tell you based on last year. But there is a partnership he does with the
I don't think it's
community.
30 an hour.
I think it should be.
I think
Quite kind of the
trying to remember
I
who
think
did
it
it
should
a
be the
couple
same
years
also,
ago. Yeah,
because it's fair going out at 1,500 to 1,500. Yes, he's giving back a little bit more, but he does have bathrooms, he does have electric, where she doesn't.
You give free hot dogs.
I mean, 1,500, it's fair to go out for both of them.
To the rec department.
I agree
doesn't
with
work
that.
anymore.
Does he pay more for his electric too?
Everybody okay with that at this point? Make them even, or?
I see the concept that going from 300 higher is a bit drastic, but it is a minimum bid. So I think introductory, I'm not sure if they knew what he was going to be bringing in as far as revenue and dollars and so on and so forth. That will, you know, when they did it at $300. So now I think there's a little bit more history behind it where we can see the potential for more. There's a little bit unbalanced, I think. I might be overruled on this one, so.
But I think he realized that he was getting away with it.
Yeah.
It's a sweeter deal, you know.
Right. Does anybody have any idea of how many kayaks he runs a day, how many customers he gets?
And the Harbor Commission hasn't had any other discussion about what they would be jumping the rate to if they.
They were fine with the rate that it was, but I agree, $300 for all that they're getting, I mean, that's nothing, and like Mr. Lane said, $2 a day. And that's not covering the electric.
I make a motion
He rents one.
To-
He made his money.
to approve.
One a
Make sure I
day.
get the right one.
10 to 8.
R 2022-118 at a rate of minimum of $1,500 for REP.
Second.
Roll call? That was 1,500, you said?
Yes, 1,500.
Councilmember McDermott.
Yes.
Councilmember
Doing
Davidson.
yoga.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
Councilmember Aronio.
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Can I add a stipulation that the contract note that if there is no storage on borough property overnight?
I don't know that he was storing overnight. Are you
Yeah,
saying
he
he was
was
storing
storing
them there during the day while he was using the
If I'm allowed to
facility?
speak, yes. He was
He
storing
was
overnight,
put it across the street.
and he had across the street with his kayaks and it that he was taking out to rent.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know if I did finish up the roll call, sorry.
All right, we're getting there, folks. Now on to introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 1, COLA rate ordinance. Michelle, would you please read the ordinance by title?
This is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank pursuant to NJSA 48:4-41.14.
Thank you. Is it the pleasure of the governing body to introduce? If so, we need a motion.
Motion. Introduce.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember McDermott.
Yes.
Councilmember Davidson.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
Councilmember Aronio.
Yes.
And Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion authorizing the clerk to publish the ordinance as introduced in the Asbury Park Press?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have an introduction of the 2022 municipal budget, resolution 2022-121, introducing the 2022 municipal budget. Michelle, would you please read the budget by title?
This is the municipal budget of the Borough of Keyport, County of Monmouth, New Jersey for the year 2022.
If it is the pleasure of the governing body to introduce, we need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember McDermott.
Yes.
Councilmember Davidson.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
Councilmember Aronio.
Yes.
And Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, can we get a motion authorizing the clerk to publish the budget summary as introduced for a public hearing to be held on May 17th? 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Communications by consent. Right, number 1 was pulled. We'll go through that separately, and so past that, do we have a motion on communication by consent for approval and receipt file communications?
I'll make a motion with the change to communication number 4, the date being the 22nd on Sunday.
So that would be items 2 through 11, correct?
Correct.
We have a second?
Second.
What's it, all in favor?
No.
No, it's a
We
roll
need a
call.
vote for that.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember McDermott?
Yes.
Councilmember Davidson?
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara?
Yes.
Councilmember Aronio?
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni?
Yes.
Okay, the item number 1, did we want to, the letter from the Keyport Historical Society? Do we want to address that now, or, okay.
So I understood in our budget, we put $1,000 for the Historic Society, did we not? In the
Yes.
proposed budget?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we are offering assistance.
$1,000 is the historic, right, Jen?
Right.
Yes, the budget as introduced includes an appropriation in the amount of $1,000 with the Keyport Historic Society.
Which was what we historically gave prior to last year.
Okay.
So my only concern with that, and I think I had the same concern last year, is that there's one nonprofit organization, as much as I love the Historical Society and all of our other nonprofits, the fact that one is coming out looking for financial assistance when a lot of them are hurting. I'm worried that it creates thank you, from anybody out there, it's snowball effect, there's a better word, and brain not working tonight. So for consistency's sake, I think it should be discussed around the budget and not, that's my opinion about doing it. I think there's so many other nonprofits that could and would be seeking financial assistance.
So I do want to explain, I guess, 1,000. From my understanding historically, that was because that was when they were on the borough property. That was taken away by Sandy, and that would cover IJ.
I have no information
Okay.
regarding, prior appropriations prior to last year, but other than the fact that there was a time when it had been $1,000 for some period of time, and then at least last year, it was a $2,500 appropriation.
But I do think the $1,000 was to offset because it was on our property, on the borough property, and then I think that was to cover just operation expenses since it was part of our deal kind of thing. Again, I'm just sharing my background.
When they were on borough property, they still carried their own insurance, so yes.
I think they were on borough insurance.
They were covered under borough insurance, now they
Again. Yeah, I think they want the borough insurance, now they cover their own.
So since this item is within the budget, and this stated amount is different, do we want to just receive and file the letter versus approval?
Yes.
And because budget conversations are going on, it's just, can we make a motion to move that communication to receive and file?
Do you want to take that to the next meeting?
Well, I don't know that, I think moving it to receive and file, we're giving it consideration, and we know that the budget conversations are going on. Do we
Okay.
need to do anything more than that?
You're right, okay.
That sounds appropriate.
Yes.
Okay. So can we have a motion to move it to receive and file?
I'll make a motion to move communication number 1 to receive and file.
Second.
Yeah, I think we have an
You have
issue.
to abstain.
Oh,
Council-
I have to abstain.
I have to
He's on
abstain.
historical.
on.
Okay.
Well, we're both on the historical society.
Well, I think everybody's a member of the Historical Society.
Yeah.
So,
So I guess you can vote.
I'm not, I don't know if I'm an active,
Twice.
I don't an active
Patron,
member
yes.
either, yeah.
I give money.
Function versus
For Sunday.
actual
Yeah, I'm not a
involvement
member.
as an
I'm not a member.
active member.
Right.
Right.
Oh, you are?
You remember?
Okay.
Yeah, and I do the gardening.
That's the delegate and Lori.
Yes, I said
Big
it.
vote.
I don't think, in
Oh,
review,
no, 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 no.
we don't have enough, you don't have enough.
no, no.
Yeah.
So the table, then it has to be tabled to the next meeting.
Okay.
You don't even have enough. You don't understand, we don't even have enough corn for that.
That's true, I've never had it.
Oh, I don't know, so right, it'll be,
Is the mayor?
it would be.
Mayor will be.
The
mayor should
three and three.
So what are we doing now?
maybe. Yeah, I don't know, if we've got Victoria.
Victoria also.
Anyway, okay.
All right, so it's tabled to next week.
Okay.
Um,
Do we have a motion to table it?
Motion.
Motion.
Motion. Second. Am I withdrawing the,
Yes.
or I'm withdrawing the motion to receive and file, communication number 1, and I am now motioning to table it. Is that correct?
Second.
Okay. Okay, and I did the whole approval. Okay. So we don't have reports,
Yes.
and is that typically you read the reports?
I can if you want.
Or,
Okay. We have reports, the municipal clerk's report for March 2022, the tax water sewer collector's report for March 2022, the Board of Health treasurer's report for March 2022, the building department monthly report for March 2022, the municipal court monthly report for March 2022, and the tax collector's annual report for 2021 collections.
Just make a motion to receive.
Wait.
We have a motion to receive.
motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. New business, the flags. As I said, now I think I know why that word flags is there. So you already gave us your update. And
I guess my only question is who's going to communicate back to you, and Michelle, do you just want to let them know that that's been
I will,
approved and
yes.
CC the mayor myself?
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't see anything under unfinished business. Does anybody have anything that they? No? Okay. Datus updates. Start down by you, Chief. Do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay. Ms. Lundin?
Nothing.
Okay. Mr. Delaney?
Nothing.
Mr. Taylor?
Just one item is the TAP project, the public hearing with the community meeting is going to be next Wednesday night in Borough Hall from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
And what's the date on that? That's the 27th? Is that the
27th,
date?
yes.
Okay.
Is that something you put on the borough website for us to share and announce?
It's been posted.
Oh, it is? Okay, cool. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, public comment portion, can have a motion to open to the public for comment. Please limit comment to no more than 5 minutes per person.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone in the public?
Christina Greenberg, 144 Cherry Street, Keyport. So most of you know or either see me walking my dogs and my kids to school almost every morning. And I know that garbage is a common topic, but it is a little more than a mile walk from my house on Cherry Street to the school, and we do not pass one single garbage can. Now, I know part of the issue is that they are county roads, but it is disgusting, especially over near the creek. There is so much garbage and animal waste. People just chuck it in there. If there is any way that we can contact the county and work together with them, there used to at least be a can at the trail on Beer Street, which was emptied daily, which definitely made a big difference. But since Mr. Gallo has left, that can is no longer, it has been removed and it's not there. But it's just, kids have garbage, especially on that dip in the road. If there was a can on one end of that dip, it would make such a difference in how much debris. And I mean, just walk by there and slowly look at what is in there. There are things you don't want your children seeing, and it's just people chuck food out their window of their car, it lays there. So that's the only thing, if we could try, I don't know who, if you want me to write an email, somebody could tell me who I have to contact with the county, but just a garbage can somewhere along the way would be greatly appreciated.
Just a question, you referenced the dip, you're talking about on Maple Place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just walk.
It was just unclear.
Yeah, we call it the dip because the road literally.
Mont Street.
Yeah, but it is like if you just slowly walk, because only one side is paved over there, it's that asphalt side. But the amount of garbage is absolutely, and it's everything from alcohol bottles to food to pet waste to things I definitely don't want to be recorded on public record. But it is really just disgusting. And I just think a garbage can at one end to the other would definitely encourage people. And we do have a lot more kids walking from that side of town. And it does get dangerous with glass over there and people throwing stuff. So if there's any way we could work on that, it would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Being the best part, 826 Avenue. Broadway, I understand, is a county road. The funny thing is, on one end, it's called Broadway Avenue. Never heard of a name like that. The other end is Broadway. Now, when you come off 35, I'm on the right lane, going straight. And at least 3 times a week, I have to hit my brakes like crazy because the left lane, which is supposed to go left, goes straight. There's only one sign saying left and U-turn to the left side. So there should be really the left one and the straight one. Either painted on the pavement, or the sign is very hard to read too, where it says going to the Garden State and the left turn, so maybe the county could do something there. I think it's getting dangerous because once I just pulled into it, made the right turn, so I wouldn't hit the other car, the other car would hit me. Quite often I've seen it happen. I always look, does he have blinkers on going left or is he going straight? So then I'm careful. I don't start right away. So maybe it only needs a sign, either on the pavement or a visible sign on the side. That's all it needs.
Is this when you come over the bridge?
No, when you come off 35, you make the right turn onto Broadway Avenue at that time. And then you make the left turn over the bridge. And there is, it says left and U-turn, but it doesn't say, like they usually have it, the straight one and the left one.
There's
and
no
it's
painting.
sometimes a little hard to see when the bushes are there.
Yeah.
So either on the ground or, a sign like this, then more people. And I mean, the people that go there, they probably live in Keyport, they should know better, but who knows better nowadays?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Marla.
Just a follow-up to Christina's comment about garbage. Just to give you a little example. There's 4 cans up at the skate park, and that place is disgusting. So, it's all about enforcement. Who's watching the store? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I sent you a video, I sent you a video of a resident sending me a video of the skate park. There has to have been, there's a bench there, low balling, 500 cigarette butts in front of the bench. Disgusting, really disgusting. Now, if it's being utilized by our youth, that's even more disgusting to think that those cigarettes could be smoked by them. So I'm not just saying, it's our enforcement. I mean, that skate park was built for the enjoyment of this community. There's still graffiti on all the equipment. There's still garbage all over the place. And there is porta-johns. There's defaced at one point in time. There's garbage cans. And, it comes down to enforcement and lack of. Real quick, a couple items that I wanted to bring up tonight was I serve now, I was appointed to Hazlet Hope, and myself and former council member Sophia Lamberson are working together on putting together something for the September 23rd, I believe, 5K race in Keyport for awareness for Hazlet Hope. And we went to KBBC first to see if it would be much easier to participate in an event that's already been approved by the council. And this way here, we don't have to come in and make a separate application. We would piggyback off the event that's approved. So I'm just bringing it to the council's attention now that we are going to be coming forward with a proposal. Right now, it's just an awareness, but it's going to be forthcoming that we're going to ask to participate. We are a nonprofit 501(c)(3). We are fully insured, and we want to bring awareness to Keyport about drug addiction. And Chief's on the committee also. She appointed me real quick to the social media and other things. But that I wanted to bring up just for awareness.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry, is this Hazlet Hope coming to partner with, you're looking to partner with Recreation or with KBBC?
The event of the 5K race. In other words, we would be, the wellness, everything's together that day.
Well, the wellness is a separate event. Okay.
Right, but last year, the 5K event asked vendors locally, Bayshore Hospital, VNA, if they wanted to participate, and by handing out, brochures and awareness. Well, we want to do basically the same thing.
Okay, I didn't recall them doing that. I thought
Yeah,
that
it was in the bags.
I thought that was.
Okay, so I'll explain this. This is how we do both. 5K is a rec committee, that's separate. And if KBBC partnered by giving Keyport cash, that's how they partnered with it. And then that's in a sponsorship.
Who sponsored it?
That's done by the rec committee, the borough. 5K is always the rec committee, the borough Keyport. The wellness day is KBBC.
Oh, okay. Then that's the event.
And there's two separate events, but what happens is because it's a day of exercise and
You put it together.
it was just a one-day collaborative event. Like basically 12 o'clock the race ends, 1 o'clock started but they're two separate events.
Okay.
And I guess I asked this question when you joined the KBBC. I said, what is so if it's part of the whole wellness day, then yeah, you could put flyers in and stuff like that. But I guess the other question I asked, were you looking to fundraise?
I don't think they were looking
Okay, so
to
you're just looking for
fundraise.
give out education.
Yeah, I'll have more detail. They were looking to have, I believe, a barbecue, or an event like a barbecue, but I'm not positive because it was still up in the air.
It's different, very different than a wellness day that was being planned.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The wellness day, we don't have anything cooked or anything.
No, I understand.
Okay.
I understand that, and it's not to say we can't, but that's why I'm gonna put a proposal and we'll present it to the council.
Right.
The other thing was,
I just have another question. Is this not being done with some partnership with the MAC?
No,
Okay,
I think
so-
we're
okay.
working on it first.
Okay.
the licensed water plant operator, is that an individual or is it a firm?
It's an individual.
It is. Does he participate in the hydrant flushing?
He does.
He does. Okay. Is he aware on all the hydrants that are out of service?
He is.
And you think we can get a thorough flush without those hydrants being in service?
Well, ideally, flush should include every hydrant.
Yeah.
There are a certain number that's part of the flushing process is to identify the hydrants that have either a mechanical issue or some other deficiency. Again, ideally, the hydrants, every hydrant would be flushed to get the maximum hydrant flushing capacity.
My last item is, I'm not positive at the last meeting if this was approved or the meeting before, but I seen some flyers out. I totally support the Garden Club 100%. But it says the Garden Club is selling flowers for Mother's Day in the gazebo on the waterfront. I don't remember that being approved.
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah, they did $100,
They paid $100.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, they did, that's right, the night we thought they should have paid, all right. Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Anyone else from the public? Mr. Lane?
Couple of status items. What's this latest schedule on when we're gonna get the 25-mile-an-hour sign?
I did follow up with the county on that, they're putting the plan together, and I don't know the exact date, but it's in the works.
Okay, I might see them.
So they don't have a date.
They don't have a date.
Okay. What's the schedule for eliminating the Division Street flooding due to the problem with the asphalt street flood?
That project, or that issue was included in the budget discussions. It is not currently a high priority, although funding is being pursued for that and other hazard mitigation projects.
It's not high priority?
When I say high priority, it's nothing that is received funding in the current year or next year's budget.
Wow, so we can flood the streets. It's not a priority. What's the schedule for posting the subdivision site plan ordinance on the borough website?
I'm sorry, the question?
The schedule for posting on the borough website the subdivision site plan ordinance number 27.
Yeah, the codification company has not provided us with a firm date on that. I can double check that and provide that with you.
Okay, I've been asking this question now for about 6 months.
The ordinance is posted, it has just not been codified, just so we're clear.
Ordinance is not posted under ordinances, under documents listed.
The ordinance, I believe, is posted as part of the subdivision requirements, but I'll double check that. You're saying it's not included in the online documents?
It's not included in the online documents. Yeah, about 4 months ago, I asked a set of questions, and one of my neighbors sent me a copy of the minutes, and then I asked the same set of questions again. When are we going to get a status report that talks about the Aero Marine landfill, talks about the bulkheading along the Aero Marine, talks about the response to the bulkheading letter from the Ecologian, when are we going to get a fix for the NPB floodgates? Another issue is we had a planning board meeting where 26 Waverly was given a pass on underground wiring. But the council has a development agreement, the borough has a development agreement with this property for underground wiring, and there's a $60,000 performance bond, and they haven't, and it's very clear in the development agreement that they haven't met the requirements. And the input at the planning board meeting was, well, the power company won't let us do it. But nobody at the planning board meeting asked for proof. And what's interesting, and I have a handout. George, can you help me? Sure. With this handout. The very time that the developer was saying, we can't put in underground wiring at 26 Waverly, at 2nd Street between Atlantic and Church, a new development was put in, and it was put in with underground wiring, and people have checked with the power company, and they said that's the preferred way to do it. And I'm going to hand out to you copies of photographs of how the underground wiring was provided, and the site, and you can go, I encourage you to go look at it. And so you have a performance bond that hasn't been met, that's $60,000. When is that gonna be handled? How are you gonna handle it? And so this gets back to, when are we gonna get a status report where all these issues don't just evaporate, go away? Another one that's sort of gone away is lots 20 and 21, ownership. They're on the borough's Rossi site, but yet we're saying that they belong to the fishery property. When is that going to be resolved? When is it going to be listed as an issue to be dealt with? How do you keep track of what's going on? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public? Yes, Mr. Wallen.
George Wallen, 52nd Street. Jay, what's the status update on fire hydrant at Atlantic and First Street? It's out of service.
Yeah, it was scheduled to be addressed last week with an attempt to reconfigure it or reconstruct it, rebuild it. That did not happen. It was, my understanding is, was rescheduled for this week upon receiving some additional parts from the manufacturer.
Do we know what happened to it?
I don't know what happened to it.
All right, does anybody know what happened to it?
My understanding, it's been out of service for some time.
Yeah, it has been, but I found out the other day that it was hit by a car.
Okay, that's information that I'm not aware of.
Okay. Can we look
Do
into
you know when it was hit by a car?
that? Again, like I said, I'm just finding this out the other day. Why people don't contact you guys, I don't know. The chief left, but if somebody could just mention to her, it'll be on record, I'm assuming, the sign at the end of Second Street was taken care of. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, by the way, the chief had mentioned that sign was apparently in that location sometime before 2013.
At least that, yeah. The only reason I brought it up because it said you can't make a left, but now with all the construction down there, you should be able to make a left. Yeah. Thank you.
Just one quick follow-up, I'm sorry. Just, Trevor, the Church Street construction, new hydrants were put in, but the old ones were left. Was there a reason for that?
They're gonna be demolished as part of the continuation of the work, as soon as they get everything connected.
For any council member that hasn't been over on Church Street, look at the construction, the municipal lot, some of the old water lines are there. I think if you want to educate yourself, go look at them.
Talking about David Fox, Church. Trevor, are all the hydrants right now on Church Street operational, or the new ones, or the old ones? Because they have the new ones covered, they haven't covered them, just for the fire department to know.
Yeah, I can, if you're just waiting for the bacteria test to come back, once that's out, I'll let everyone know that the water line is in service and that they're good to go. So it should be within the next couple of days.
So right now, just the old ones are?
The old ones should still be working because they haven't disconnected the old main. So right now, there should be the old ones, and the new ones are in service or not just officially in service.
Okay.
Within the next couple of days, it should be
great.
up and running.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, do we have a motion to?
I have one.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lane, there's this plaque here, and I didn't see your
Real quick
name.
question. What's the latest on the drainage ditch along the Henry Hudson Trail? Any schedule for opening that ditch from Manchester all the way to Green Road? And how are we going to deal with all the water that's going to come off the Henry Hudson project, Hudson Point project, which has got all channeled into that ditch?
The Monmouth County Park System, we're planning on having a walkthrough sometime in the next few weeks.
Okay.
So I know it's definitely been on their agenda as far as the parks go, to go back out and look at it and continue the work. They did start doing some of the clearing on the drainage ditches along the Henry Hudson Trail. That's been kind of ongoing. It's been a slow going process, obviously, because it's been coming out of winter. But they have been doing it, but there's going to be a walkthrough shortly with the parks commissioners.
Because it's well maintained between Atlantic Street and Manchester, and down to the pipe underneath the Henry Hudson Trail, which floods 3rd and 5th, East 3rd and East 5th. But it's not maintained at all from that pipe in Green Road.
I took a
Or
walk
Fulton,
with
Fulton.
Mr. Lane down there. You could see where it's not maintained. And I actually had communication with Mr. Arnone also to see if he would, take a walk through there. And I'm sure it's part of what you're working on too.
Commissioner Wilson and I had the same conversation with the Parks Department.
But that really needs focus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to speak? Do I have a motion to close to the public?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else we need to go over? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much for your participation.